are rolling. Hey, baby.
Hey.
Whew.
You
It's
ready
always
for this? Don't
a
blow
lot
that
of-
candle out.
Yeah, it's a lot of work getting the setup and getting ready to roll.
I know, but you do so good. Doesn't he do great?
Thank you.
Yes, he does.
Aw. Well, you look great again.
Thank
Just threw on the
you.
hat. And, I tried to sit up straight. So we hear the camera adds 10 pounds. We have been seeing that now that we're doing video. So the camera added 10 pounds. And then my Mexican food dinner over the last couple of that added 4 more pounds. So I was 200 and now I'm 214.
Well, I'm not going to say my weight, but congratulations that you love to say your weight.
So 214. No, I'm going to set some intentions. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about being intentional and setting intentions today. So one of the things I'm doing, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm going to go back down to 200. Last year, I got down to 198. It was the first time I broke 200 in since freaking high school or something. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to do it. I've just let the creep happen again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, seriously, I mean, the 214, think about a 14-pound bowling ball. Do they even make those?
I don't know.
14-pound bowling ball that I'm carrying around instead of the 200 that I was. And I'm brought that up because I'm breathing so heavy after just getting everything set up and sitting down. So let's see. We're not going to do shout outs today. We're going to come up with a new term, but I want to do something that's like a shout out. So what are we going to call that? We're not going to shout out it.
Hey.
A hey.
Let's do a hey.
By the way, this is the best cup of coffee.
Which one did you use?
So I don't know the name of the second one because I just grabbed it to fill, but it was Alticio. The Alticio, it's a small one, but man, it's so good. But I added the other one that's the kind of blue with the gold dashes.
Oh, that's a fancy one.
Because that's a good one too. What's it called?
That's called like Unforgettable Espresso.
Unforgettable Espresso.
That's limited edition. Don't use them all up.
You know what? And I think that's a double shot, and Alticio's a double shot.
So he is going to be on fire.
A golden caramel. Is it caramel or caramel? Caramel.
Wait, you did 3 in that cup?
You got it. You got it. Best cup of coffee I've ever had. So a hey to Nespresso.
Okay, I don't think we can afford that.
Our sponsor, Nespresso. So either they're going to sue us or they're going to send us a lot of pods. But man, Nespresso is the best.
Yeah,
I mean, literally. Bye-bye, Starbucks.
That was our
Starbucks is going to get us now.
That was our Christmas gift to each other 2 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We loved it.
I needed the caffeine late night and wanted to get thinking cap on this morning. Caffeine is one of the best things for you.
Excellent.
I mean, the culture that invented math did it with caffeine.
Okay.
Caffeine, powerful drug, but legal and very helpful for me. So let's see. Hey to Nespresso. Hey to our other sponsor today.
Oh,
Lucky Spur.
Lucky Spur.
Lucky Spur event venue. We went to a little open house over there, and this is their logo. This is their hat. So yeah, shout out to Lucky Spur. We're hoping to have one of our events there soon.
Yeah, it's right here in Justin, not too far.
Right here in Justin. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great
good-looking hat.
It is a good-looking hat, and it brought me luck recently. We won't talk about that, but it brought me.
Did anything happen while we were at Lucky Spur? Anything of notice?
Oh my gosh, baby! Jamie took a little spill.
I took a spill.
My baby took a spill. Man, you had on your Little Debbie shoes.
They're silver Mary Jane's. Flats.
Okay, so for all the men out there, they're Little Debbie shoes.
They're so cute.
Christian, I don't know if I've ever seen little Debbie's shoes, but if she had shoes.
Anyway, they're so cute, but they are not like traction type shoes at all. And it was right after the ice, this last ice little storm.
And we're walking so gingerly and daintily. And
walking
we were
on some flagstone. There was some black ice or something, I don't know, and I took a fall.
And it's one of those things that you feel so bad. I was right in front of Jamie and literally was, I think, holding your hand and saying, scoot over on the sidewalk part. And we had gotten through a very precarious part where there was tons of visible ice. And so we were just scooted right over and just walking on the kind of the wet part that you could see it had been melted. And then I get right, I mean, literally just step right in front. And then I see the flagstone. Our friend had said, ooh, watch out. I think this is slick too. And so I followed her and took one step. And I'm talking. I said, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful. And before I said the word boardroom, because it was their little boardroom.
Heard the death
I heard, and it's like, oh my gosh.
And I had a bag with like a lot of little goodies in it.
Yard sale.
And then I had my purse on one hand and man, it just, I slipped. Luckily I didn't like slip and fall back. It was weird. I like slipped forward and whoa, see there? And fell straight on my knees.
Yeah.
And so my knees are they're pretty banged up. And I've noticed they're just still, you know, I mean, it's fine. Yeah. They're just, they still hurt when I'm doing yoga and I I forget about it and I like go right straight down on my knees. I'm like, it feels like a lightning bolt jolting through my body. Anyway, so there's some contusions.
Praying for healing. Yeah. Deep bruises, right?
Yeah. But nothing broken. Just my ego was scarred. It's fine.
Yeah, you keep bringing it up. I feel for you.
Well, nothing makes you feel old.
And so our friends, I mentioned, it was Blake and Adrena Mabry. We were touring that venue with them because Blake had done a wedding there just the weekend before. And they called me after we told them, they saw it.
After I was alive.
Blake, so they called after they dropped us off and they were on their way home. And because Adrena really gets tickled with stuff like that, people falling. And so they just started talking about it, how it's kind of slow motion. You see it happening. And Blake was trying to stop it, but couldn't. And they were laughing so hard. And so they got me laughing because we like to laugh at stuff like that too. Not at people, but with people. But poor Jamie was sitting in the chair just shaking her head like, I hope y'all are having a good laugh.
Yeah, guys, I was sitting in the recliner with my legs up and ice on both of my knees. But I'm usually the one that's I mean, I have compassion in my heart for people. It's not like I laugh at people, you know, that's kind of sad. But I guess I do. But when people like fall, you know, like the whole trip and fall, or that meme where that lady's at that basketball game and she's like on her phone or not paying attention and the ball just comes in like slow motion, hits her in the face. And
the slow motion, the way they repeat it, she's got the nachos in her lap and her glasses just boom, fly off. That ball hits her so hard.
So that was a sad memory from this past week, but I'm good. I'm alive and well.
Well, you look great.
It's fine. Thank
you. Look like you're recovering just fine.
Thank you.
You needed this morning in bed. I need a little extra back rub. I need because I'm kind of stove up because of my fall a week ago.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that wasn't why. I did the rebounder. I did our little mini. I did a workout on the mini tramp yesterday.
Okay,
and I just feel like.
But I associated the bouncing on the rebounder to the pain in the knees. So that's what I locked in on.
No, I'm all good.
So another hey to one of our listeners, and we never use the name of our clients, right, in here. When we're talking about scenarios or situations, obviously that's all confidential. But it's so universal. A lot of times we'll describe the situation or the circumstance, the scenario, the problem, the issue, the challenge, all the stuff that we go through because we all go through it. But we don't use names. But when people comment on our YouTube videos or on our posts, their names are there. And we won't use any last names, but the first name of someone is named Watson. And Watson said, he commented about the one word. Hey, to Watson about the one word. He said, can y'all kind of talk more about that? Like, what do you do when you choose your word? What kind of word and what do you do with it? And I think that's a great, because we ask you to share your one word for the year. And it's about setting an intention around a word that God brings to you. It's like, what do I want to be different? What do I want to be new? What do I want to think about or focus on in my life? What do I want to start to manifest in my life? And the things that you set, right, the intentions that you set have a lot greater chance of coming true than things that you don't, right? So the Greek word for sin is an archery term. It means to miss the mark. And so you picture that bullseye or the William Tell apple with the archer, shooting the arrow. But when you have a bullseye and you're going to shoot at anybody who knows that they're shooting at anything, a target, you're aiming, right? You have something that you're aiming at. And if you take that word and you say, okay, I'm aimless, what does that mean? You're not shooting at anything. You're not aiming at any target.
That's good.
And so you're all over the place, right? And so to focus on something, and we use these terms, to laser in or focus. So picture the red infrared laser dot that's right on the target of something. That means you're aiming at something. So if you aim and you miss, so if you go shoot at a target and you're practicing maybe a bow for the first time, or you're shooting a firearm, if you're aiming and the first couple things you do is you understand about sights and sighting something in, and at this distance you need it to be here, and you want your little notch of your for your bow on the target. But whatever, if you're aiming, even if you miss, if you're aiming at something, you're a lot closer to that target than if you're not aiming at all, obviously. So we want to talk about setting intentions and aiming at something, focusing on something so that thing can actually start to manifest in your life. And so I wanted you to talk about our vision retreat. We told everyone we were going to talk about our vision retreat. And somebody asked us, was that a vision retreat for our marriage? Because those are great to have, a marriage retreat. But this was a vision retreat for long haul marriage, for our marriage, for our business, for the intentions with our family, our kids, our grandkids. So, we both said, hey, let's do it. But you planned that thing. And I want to just hear what went into that, the thought that went in, and then just kind of give me some of your highlights and your takeaways.
It was really fun.
It was great.
That was really fun. You're right. It does take some planning. It does take some intention. And so, just that's the first part, is deciding, hey, this is something that we want to do. You don't have to go away to do it, but I think it's kind of important, even if it's just one night. I mean, we went to Waco, an hour and a half away. It's not like we went to the Bahamas, or it doesn't have to be. It could be, that'd be pretty cool, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be, just one night away in a little town.
And of all places, Waco,
by
Texas.
Yeah.
And tell them why we chose Waco. We were already thinking Magnolia. Well, right?
I do love to go down a couple of times. Waco's just a fun town.
Yeah.
And so it's a cute little fun town.
All you Wacoans.
Yeah, all you Baylor Bears out there. So it's somewhere close that we didn't have to drive a long way or hop a plane. And so first we had to choose the date. Like, what day do we have open?
Hang on.
Yes.
For women especially, why is it important to leave and to go away?
Yeah.
Because if you stay here,
So if we're here, especially as a woman, but I think also for a guy, just to shake you up out of your norm. But as women, we're I feel like, and really it's both. It's I think men too, but this is our home. This is our work. We're here 24/7. And so when I'm here, it's harder for me to relax, to let down, to get my head into a different headspace. I'm thinking, I need to unload the dishwasher. Oh, I need to start a load of clothes. Oh, I need to feed the dogs. Oh, I need to take the dogs out. Oh, I need to, wash our sheets. Whatever it is, I need to do something here. There's always something to do. And so when you leave, it just forces you okay, you just open up a whole different headspace for yourself. And it just sets a different tone. So
those distractions are gone. When you do, there are certain types of guided meditations, and one I won't mention, but that I've started doing. I won't mention the name because but they have this. It's this box. That's this huge box that you walk over to, and you set all the cares and the worries and your issues into that box, and then you put this heavy lid on it, and then you turn away from it, and just visualizing that can be very, very helpful. So this is actually doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got away, and, you need to plan, really a couple of days. We left in the morning on a Monday and spent the night, and then came back the following afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's about a, 24-hour period, whatever. We found a little Airbnb. I looked at a bunch of different ones. The one I found was kind of like a little cabin.
Okay. Hey. Hey, to the hill.
Hey, to the hill. It was
that
called
was
the
incredible.
Hill. So there's
it was
the hill,
so cool.
the grove, and the main, and it's on some property, and there's
grove.
like three little cabins out there. And so, anyway, it was a great little place to stay.
Yes.
In this little cabin.
Thank you.
We planned.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Seriously, it was amazing.
You know what? We built in some fun. And so we drove down to Waco. I've made reservations at Magnolia Table because it's always booked. And so
Good night. That was
got
so
in
good.
on a Monday. That was good. So made reservations, had a really yummy lunch. It wasn't quite time to check into our Airbnb yet. So we went to, was the first place?
Get ready.
First we went to Magnolia. And so we did.
Got to do the silos.
We did every, should we do a hey to Chip and Joe?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Chip and Joe.
Hey.
We went to every single building on the whole property. So
You were so proud of that.
I was. We went to
And
every single
it's
little
not as
shop.
bad as you think, guys. Just go with it sometime.
Well, hey to you for going, because a lot of guys might be like, heck no, I'm not going to Magnolia.
Yep.
But it really was, it was a fun little
great.
time. So
Yeah.
we did that, and then we
Wait, when is Chan's birthday?
the 29th.
No, I know that, but like, what's today and when is it? So, will this podcast be out before her birthday?
Yes.
She won't listen to it.
Yes, she might. She might.
But I found Chan's sweet little birthday present there.
Yeah, that was sweet.
So that was worth it for me.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a great time at Magnolia, and then we we were like, what can we do? And our sweet little Airbnb person gave us a whole guide of what she loves to do. She's a local to Waco. And so one of the things that she said was it's kind of cool to go drive by the Branch Davidian.
The Branch Davidian compound.
David
that's like,
Koresh
yikes.
whole cult situation.
And you youngins probably have never heard of David Koresh. And somebody said, oh, yeah, I saw that documentary on Netflix. But like we lived through that. When the cult leader had the people out there in the middle of nowhere, and in the ATF and the FBI and the whoever came out there and said, no, we're not having it. And
burned it down to the ground.
Bulldozed and burned. And it was crazy.
So we didn't spend a lot of time there. We just kind of drove past that.
It's eerie to be on that property. It really was. Yeah.
And then we saw that there was a woolly mammoth national park museum or something.
Who knew that 19 woolly mammoth fossils or fossilized mammoth carcasses or whatever the bones were?
Saber-tooth.
Yeah, a saber-tooth,
Tortoise,
a camel. Right there with them.
So we went and checked all that out. That
woolly
was pretty
mammoth
cool.
preserve, or not even preserve, whatever, archaeological find, dig thing. Yeah, cool.
So we did that, and then headed to our Airbnb. And so I loosely planned it. So what I did have were, I just kind of had a loose idea of what I wanted us to do. I wasn't just going to show up and not have any idea. So over the last few weeks, I saw like different questions that I thought were kind of cool. So I took my little handy dandy notebook.
Wow.
Here. Happen to have it right here.
The part, yeah, we had just enough structure to where we feel like we got something, a lot of things out of it. And we made some really, really cool plans for this year for long haul marriage. For me, I feel like you and I are just together, and there's a vision, a common, again, we have an aim, we have something we're aiming at. We have a target on certain different things in the business and at home and with our marriage. That was really cool. But the structure part, because I would just kind of let it happen, you know, but the structure part that I really appreciated was you bringing the notebook and having these questions. And it was like an interview.
Yeah.
And it brought some things out that were kind of surprising.
I loved hearing your heart through, and you had to be open to it. You know, it wasn't like you're like, this is dumb, we're not doing this. You were like, yeah, let's do it. You know, so you want me to read?
And Monday Night Football was playing on my Mac.
That is true. My feelings were a little hurt by that.
I muted it, didn't I?
You did. Okay, so here were just a few questions that and it was kind of just rapid fire, you know. I just kind of threw out a question. And of course, I took notes as you were talking.
You did. You took copious notes.
What are you going to do with those notes? I'm like,
why don't? Yeah, just. Yeah, you don't have to rapid fire it because I think this could be very helpful. These are some practical things if you guys decide to do a vision retreat. This is something. Just pay attention to these questions.
Yeah,
they're free.
These were good. Okay. So we shared our one word, which we already knew that. We shared our one word,
which we're going to come back to.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Then we had a little time of reflection of 2024, which for me is really important before you're just like, okay, just hop on into 25 and let's talk about that. It was really a reflection of a heart of gratitude for 24. What did we, what are we taking from that year? We kind of went over some stuff, that happened during 2024, happy and crappy, and said, but you know what, God, we thank you for every bit of that. And so what, even the yucky stuff that we can what can we learn from it? What can we take with us into the new year, but not moving into a new, fresh space with any kind of ick or baggage or whatever. We just kind of said, you know what, thank you for 2024. And then we're moving forward into 25. So we kind of talked about that. So we reflected on 2024. And then I said, what is your vision for us? And you just kind of told about that. What is your vision for our family? What is your vision for long haul marriage? And what is your vision for friends? And so that was really cool just to kind of hear the first thing, you didn't hurt yourself trying to think too long about each of the questions. You just kind of said what was on your head, at the top of your head. And go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and as you get into any of these exercises where you're setting intentions, I think sometimes it helps to have a facilitator if you're kind of blank, somebody to help walk you through. But just the way to do it yourself is to always try to get as narrow and specific as possible, right? When you get curious about certain things, then get very curious and get more curious. Well, what about this? What about that? And what's under that? And what's under that? So if I said... and this is not, I don't remember how I answered that. I mean, some ideas popped when you said that, just because I've got a lot of ideas about our marriage and about long haul. But if I ask someone that's struggling in their marriage and they say, I want to pay more attention to my spouse because she says I don't pay attention to her. So, okay. And you told me, Brian, for 2025, I want to pay better attention to my spouse. Okay, so what does that mean? How are you going to pay better attention? Okay, well, I want to listen to her when she speaks. Like, I don't want to be on my phone or watching TV. I'm going to push mute or I'm going to put the phone down and I'm going to look her in the eye. Okay, all right. And then now what? So be very specific. Okay, then how can what does active listening look like? What does it sound like? What are some things that you can do to let her know you're really engaged? See what you're doing right there, you're looking in the eye, you're going, that's active listening. And then, so Brian, you're saying this, even state back some things you're hearing, right? For clarification or to let them know you're engaged in that conversation. So it's getting really, really specific about how you're going to do that because the more narrow your focus, right, the better chances of hitting a target.
Yes.
You have.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
Great. And then we kind of went over what's working in our home, what's working for us relationally, what's working in our work, what's working physically for us, and what's working spiritually. Yeah. So kind of like what's working now. Like, what are some things like, man, this is really good. You know, I really enjoy the rhythm of this. And so it makes you want to like set the intention to do more of that, you know.
And celebrate the wins. It's not always about just, man, I suck or I got to do better. It's like, man, celebrate the things you're doing well. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, capitalize on those.
Yeah. And then you kind of turn the tables and ask me, you know, the questions. And I'm like, wait, I don't know if I like this part. I like to be the one asking the questions. But it was just it wasn't like it took hours, you know. It just was some succinct, intentional time to, you know, kind of go through these questions together. So
I think that's the misconception. Most people think that anything you do when you're going to sit down and you're going to share with your spouse or do some vision thing, it's going to be this long 3-day retreat or a week long, or you're going to have to do it every day for the next 365 days. No. Take some intentional time, set it aside and focus on it. And you'd be amazed at what can happen literally in 30 minutes or an hour and a half. I mean, for us, that vision retreat took, hours, but we had a lot of fun sprinkled in. But we've said it before, when you go out back 10 minutes, I'm going to focus, set our stuff down and look at each other and talk to one another and focus. No phones, no Netflix. And I think too, back on this celebrate the wins, many times we go through life just kind of, again, we're talking about setting intentions, being intentional. So you got to pay attention to things. So when you're having a good day, you've had a good day. What did you do that day? How much sleep did you get the night before?
That's good.
Right? What did you eat? What did you have quiet time? Did you spend some time in the Word? Did you spend some time in quiet, some mindfulness, some gratefulness, some meditation? Did you hang out with some friends? Did you talk to some a family member? Like, what was the recipe? What were the ingredients that you put in that day that turned out a pretty good dish?
Yes.
And if you can stay intentional, like you got the recipe. So repeat that. And pay attention when the day didn't go so well. It's like, dang it, man, I only got 3 hours sleep. I was, scrolling on TikTok, whatever. It's if you can pay attention to that. A lot of people, I mean, they don't realize every time they eat certain things or drink certain things, that's when they're getting in fights or that's when they're feeling like crap, right? Yeah. And so pay attention.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So we did our question and answer time. I took a little nap. We, just enjoyed being away with each other. So we played some, we ate some, we spent some time together. And then that evening we left and went and ate dinner at Ninfa's. And
I was crazy. It's not, I mean, hey to Ninfa's.
Hey to Ninfa's.
I mean, it's not Cactus Canyon or Mi Casina, but
it's
or Lupe
Ninfa's. It's just Ninfa's.
But it's Ninfa's and you got to go do it.
So while we were at dinner, I pulled out my phone to my note section and we sat there and took note. We just kind of rapid fire brainstormed everything we could possibly talk about on podcasts. Things that we've talked to people about, some that people have submitted, or hey to anyone who's submitted anything that you want to talk about on the podcast.
We've got some really good content coming this year.
That was
I'm excited. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And then went back and hung out for a little bit, and then woke up the next morning, went and got coffee at there's a cute little, it's called Homestead Heritage. And we stayed right by it. It's a little community. It's some kind of a little Christian community. Yeah.
You said it's not Amish or Mennonite.
I don't think that it's Mennonite, but it does seem like it for sure.
Yeah, it was cool.
But if y'all have never been to Homestead Heritage or Heritage Homestead, anyway.
Yeah, try it out.
Little coffee shop, a great restaurant there with like good. Went to the Waco Waffle.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so guys, jalapeno cheddar waffles as the bread.
Yep.
Buffalo chicken. I mean, the buffalo chicken. So fried chicken with the buffalo sauce and ranch, and it had arugula, tomatoes. Oh my God.
And girls, mine was just a waffle with strawberries,
that was
drizzled with
dessert.
Nutella and whipped cream. Anyway, so went to have breakfast, but then also what we did not do, but people that go visit could do, is they have the whole little village. So there's like a pottery place and a place where they do where they mill their
Leather
own
company.
wheat, blacksmith. Anyway, just a cool little.
We did that several years ago.
Yeah, cool little village.
When Ruru was
Yeah.
little. So let's talk about. Look at the time. Woo. Let's talk about the word. So the one word for the year. When you pick this word. So I mean, you've got the deal. I mean, you've got it.
No,
Pull
I
it
don't.
out. So I'm trying to think some of the words.
Family.
Just some. So let's give some examples of the words. So like Ryan chooses patience, right? And so what do you think that means for the year?
Yeah, Ryan's was actually structured.
No. Last time it was
okay.
Right?
Maybe.
No?
How am I going to remember everyone's words? I remember my word last year was simplify.
I was just going to use the word patience as an example, but let's use simplify. Go.
So mine was simplify last year. This year was nourish.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about it. So why did you choose nourish? And then what does that look like for 2025 to have chosen a word as your word of the year? And what does that mean?
So, when December 1st hits and all the excitement for like Christmas and, it's so exciting, and you're decorating and you're doing fun activities with your family, something signals to my brain, yes, it is that time of year, but I also remember January is coming next. And so my brain goes to work, because I've done this for so long now. My brain immediately goes to work in December on what's my word for the year. And anytime I spend some, have a little bit of quiet time or prayer time or whatever, I'm just constantly just praying like, God, if there is a word that needs to be kind of an intention of my heart, what would it be for this year? And so I don't know. All I can say is a word just kind of hits my heart. And then I kind of start just like marinating in that word, going, okay, is that what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing? And then what I do is I look up the definition of like when I'm pretty sure, like, I like that word. Now, I don't always like the word. Sometimes I'm like, that's not a good word, but it's been my word. And it actually has been a very good word for me.
If you heard CrossFit workout, you'd say.
No, I would go with the cancel. Cancel. But so what I usually do is I look up the definition and I write it out. And then I look up synonyms. I look up antonyms. I look up everything I possibly can about that word. And if it's the one, it usually just, I'm like, I feel more and more and more excited the more I look it up. So for the word.
And I would say don't obsess about the one word. I mean, it's the concept that comes to the word. Because like you're saying, you're finding synonyms. The one I chose for this year, we'll come back to it, but it could be one of like 10 words, right?
Yeah.
I just kind of landed on one, or the one I thought I landed on, you even wrote down another one as I described it. But okay, go ahead.
So, so the word nourish, whenever I looked up the definition of it or whatever, it was, things that you are going to put into something to bring health and growth. And so a lot of times we think of like nourishing food. Okay, that's part of it. But what else am I going to feed my mind, my body, and my soul to nourish myself this year? We've talked about this before in other podcasts, but my MO is to look out towards other people. How can I care for other people? How can I nurture or nourish other people? And what this is how can you nourish yourself? And so what that's going to look like for me this year is, before adding something in to my mind, to my body, to my soul, is this something that's going to nourish me? Yeah. And so, what that's going to mean is there's going to be some stuff that I'm like, no, that's not really going to nourish me, you know? And so it's not going to be perfect. But again, like you said, it'll be like a target to shoot for. And so for me, that word feels great.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm excited about moving towards that word, you know, with intention. And I'll share more about what I do with that word in a minute.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Keep rolling.
Okay. So, just really quickly. So last night I did with 10 girls came over and we did a vision board workshop. So much fun. And, I've had other people are like, we couldn't do it. Will you ever do one for the daytime, or can you do another one? And can you do one virtually? So
I couldn't believe 9. You said 9 had to cancel last minute.
9
but 10
yesterday.
showed up. So you had 19 people coming over. We're going to have to rent out a bigger space for that workshop.
So we ate together. We had some yummy soup, and then we just hung out for a minute. And then I shared with them a little bit about what vision boards have meant to me, because I've done them for about 15 years. And just again, it kind of goes back to setting that intention. You know, so what are you? You know. What do you want to move towards this year? What matters to you? What makes your heart beat fast? So for me, for our marriage, for our family, for our home, you know, and you Google different pictures and cut them out and put them on this board. And so I wish I had it with me. I would have shown you, but,
go get it. I'll cut it. No.
Anyway, so my one word is always on my board, and then pictures of, you know, whatever. I mean, I'll maybe show it to you.
How long did you have start a marriage ministry with B on your board?
So for I would say about 9 years, I've had on my vision board like a picture of you and me, or, you know, something that represented, you know, a heart, and that represented a marriage ministry that we would one day lead together. And so, you know, and on one of them, I remember it had little lines coming out of the heart, and it said like, celebrating and strengthening marriages through podcasts, retreats, workshops.
You had our business plan,
coaching,
the mission statement,
all this stuff. And you know what? Here's the thing, by the end of the year, I'm not disappointed or disheartened, like, well, that's a stupid dream, and that's not going to be on my next vision board. It was still in my purview. I'm like, I know this is something we're going to do. And so every single year it would just jump from one vision board to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next for about 9 years. And then I told the girls last night, this was the first time that I can say the vision is a reality, you know? So that was, it's cool, not disappointing. It's not like everything on the board, like, oh, it's a genie in a bottle and I wish it to come true. You know, it's a representation of my heart on a little board. Yeah. And what I do is I have a little corner over in our sunroom by our green velvet couch, and I have my board right there. And so every single morning, most mornings, I will say, when I'm doing my little miracle morning, I pull it out and I look at it and I touch it and I say the words out loud, and, you know, just believe it in my heart, you know, that it's coming.
I'm thinking of so many people who've had dreams and they've been dashed. They've had hopes. They've had visions for their life, and it's not coming true, and it has not come true. And so I get how there can be disappointment around that. And some people would even be, let's say, cynical about that exercise and be taking pot shots at people. Oh yeah, wishful thinking, or hope it works out for you, or good for you. Because of the disappointment and being afraid to pray audacious prayers, or to hope again, or to have those dreams, have those visions. I would just say, you know, that's kind of my deal. You know, when my word was charged, it was kind of like, and that word may sound funny, but I thought about like when I plug my Mac in, I'm using my Mac, but it's charging, right? And it can be 100% charged. And I can unplug it from the source, and it can still be used because it's got a charge, but it's running down. It's on its own power, if you will. And then it can totally run out. And for so long, in so many ways, I was running on my own power. You know, I believed in God. But I developed this mindset that he was the creator of everything. He's the divine design behind everything. He's the one that, people call source or creator, or, some people call it energy in the universe, or where all that energy came from. And I believed all that. But I think I was operating in a belief system. Obviously, he's in us. He's manifesting in us. He is the one animating us. But I was operating under the belief system that kind of like the deist, he wound it all up, and he is just kind of aloof, watching it happen. And I don't know if that's the right way, maybe determinist or whatever it is theologically, rather than his providential hand is in my life, and he's watching, and he's listening, and he's in, and he's caring. And so when Jesus said, when you pray and you ask, he doesn't say, believe that you will receive it. He says, when you pray, believe that you have received it. And in that way, I wanted to be like plugged in, connected. I wanted to be charged again. Yeah. I talked about the pyramids. Who knows what they were, right? But it's like they were this, maybe this something to do with energy and power and but whatever function they served, it's almost like they're unplugged. It's like they're just, the power plant's off. They're disconnected. And maybe this earth used to be in this energy field where it was just charged, and now it just feels dead. So that was me. And, you can operate that way, but I wanted to be resurrected. I wanted to be alive again, and I wanted to be plugged into the source. I wanted to be having the flow through me. And that starts here. So believe that you have received it. Yes. So when you put that stuff on the vision board, it's not, man, I hope that comes true. It's like, this is me. This, like you said, this is just an outward vision that I'm projecting, which is what we're doing. We're perceiving reality, and we're creating that as we perceive it. That's weird. It's so crazy. So the more that you can write that out and picture it and believe it, the more it happens. And it's just, all the
What's
people
the scripture
out there,
you always say? So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah. It's believing. It's so good to set the intentions. I don't know what the phenomenon is called. There's a name for it, but I remember years and years ago, like, I don't know how many years ago, when we got our little blue Explorer. So we had, our family was growing, and I didn't want the minivan. We had grown out of that phase, which, by the way, hey to the minivans. Don't knock on, baby.
No, we did. We loved our minivan.
I wanted something a little sportier, so we got the blue Ford Explorer. And I had seen, it's funny, back in those days, there's the green and the maroon and the white and the black, obviously. But it's like, there's a blue Ford Explorer, and look at that. This navy blue. And I'd never seen one. So we're going to get this unique vehicle. And on the way home from the dealership, you see 50 blue Explorers. Yeah. And because you're now looking for it.
It's
you
like
weren't noticing it before.
You're going to find what you're looking for.
When you first have your first baby, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all these strollers I never noticed before. Because you were in your self-absorbed world that didn't include kids. So that is part of this. It's putting that in you said it earlier, in your purview. You're going to be thinking about it.
What you focus on grows. I told the girls last night as we were doing this, I said, here's the thing. As a little girl or as you were growing up, you probably had some kind of dream in your heart, like something that made you excited. God's created you with this bundle of like gifts and passions. And, then life comes along and literally kicks the crap out of you. And so you kind of just, all those dreams go by the wayside, or there's a dream that you've had and you're like, that's never going to happen, or someone called it silly, or it just didn't make sense, or you're like, this is just dumb or whatever. And so you put that dream in a jar and it's up on the highest shelf, And so I said, what this is doing tonight, what these vision boards represent, is us pulling those dreams or those wishes or those, whatever it is, those intentions, pulling them down off the high shelf and dusting them off and saying, God, do I dare to dream again? Because if we're honest, when you go through life safe, going, I'm not going to dream. I don't go, none of that stuff. That's just crap, Well, how's that working for you? Is your life is it where you want to be? Are you walking through life happy and positive and hopeful, even when life is hard and you're like, okay, maybe you don't need a word. Maybe you don't need, you just naturally have this vision in your life. But most of us, that is not us. We need something to help us be redirected, not just January 1, but something that's going to pull us back. And so even if you just are like, I'm not doing a vision board, then maybe type your word out, write it on a note card and stick it on your your bathroom mirror, and just see if anything changes for you this year.
Try it. And if nothing else happened throughout the year, which incredible things are happening and will happen. But what I loved about when our family got together and we share, we make it a big deal when we all choose our word and then we get together and we speak that out loud. So there's a level of, again, manifestation, accountability. I want you guys to hear what my intentions are. But so many times in that, what that turns into is affirmation and just validation and speaking into the lives of our kids, our grandkids. We hear their words, and I remember, and I'm getting woo. I just remember specifically Chandler's word, expand, and she was talking about just go for it, stepping outside of her comfort zone and doing some things, and she had gotten to where, because having the twins and having Rue and, being a mom, and her world had kind of shrunk, if you will. And even not just kids and busyness and all that stuff, there were certain things that she had just thought, that's not me and that's not my world. And she just started saying, I'm going to go enter that world. And she found herself almost and it's so funny that the word she was using, like a parallel universe, what? How am I here? At this Anglican church with these old ladies, just loving on her and Rue, and it's just certain things that she was stepping into. And all of a sudden her world has grown and expanded, and it's going to continue to expand. But as she was sharing her heart and then some things that I had seen, because she and I are so connected, just the way we think and how we are, and just what I was able to look at her and say. Those times, many times we just save that for the funerals of people, right? It's why don't we do this in person? And many times in prayer, when we're praying, we're saying, Dear God, and we're speaking to people in the room, because it kind of feels goofy to just look them in the eye and say it. So we say, God, man, I love Jamie. So it's just man, the power in us affirming one another in that moment. And I was able to speak, over Christian and speak over Carson, and they were able to, speak over me. And it was powerful. And so if we got nothing else out of those words for the year, it's man, that was an incredibly important and significant moment that none of us will ever forget.
Yes. Love it. Okay, one last scripture I'm going to share, and I don't know, I could be taking it out of
we're going to give
context
these guys ears
because
a rest.
Habakkuk is not a book that I've studied a lot, but in Habakkuk 2,
like Camp Kanakuk, it's Habakkuk.
Habakkuk 2 says something like when God spoke to him, it said, take this vision and write it on tablets. In the Message version says in big block letters, put it on this tablet in big block letters so that the messenger, the runner, can grab it and have it on the run. Have the vision written out plainly and clearly so that you can see it, so that you can remember it. And the next part says, it's like Habakkuk 2, 2 and 3. It says, don't be disheartened or disappointed when it doesn't happen, for it is to come. It is going to happen, And so that's an encouragement to me that just like long haul marriage, it took years it was a little tiny seed and just began to grow. Yeah. And now we're seeing it come to fruition. And so, I
Thank you, Habakkuk.
Want to pray for anyone that's listening and saying, man, could this be for me? Could this be the year that I begin to believe and dream again?
Will you just articulate? You just did, but will you just say a prayer? Just kind of symbolically over everyone listening.
Yeah, I will.
Let's do it.
God, we join you in this moment. We thank you for anybody that is listening or watching, and no matter what city, what country, we're just grateful that in your divine nature that you've brought us together. And so we're thankful for this time, for this space. We're thankful that you have created us to be dreamers. And we admit and acknowledge that we have lost that flame, that we have lost that dream, and we've kind of lost our way from time to time. And instead of living fully awake and alive, we are kind of like dead men walking, like just trying to make it through the day. And that's all life is about. And then it's just one day after another. And God, you have created us for more than that. And so I just pray that we would be full of your Spirit, that we would acknowledge that and receive it and begin to step into what you have for us. You've created each of us uniquely. We are gifted with certain abilities and passions, and we thank you for those. We have taken them for granted, but no more. And so, God, I pray that this year would be different for all of us. And we're just grateful, God. We thank you for life. We thank you that we woke up this morning with a breath. And so that means that we're not done yet. And so we want to walk in your power, in your perspective, with your wisdom. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.